Okay guys, what's going on? Fishing Films. Today we are going to be doing a what baits to use, how to rig, and how to fish a Texas rig video. So it's pretty much everything you need to know about Texas rig video. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to be talking about are just the basics. So you probably know there are two types of Texas rigs. There are weighted Texas rigs that have a nose weight on them, and there are weightless Texas rigs that don't have any weight on them. They're just line. So for a weightless Texas rig, it's usually going to be a Senko. Some people will fish craws on them. I personally won't. I usually just fish Senkos on them. And when I do that, for all Texas rigs, I prefer to use a EWG hook. It's like this. It has more of a bend in it versus a straight shank hook. It's just straight to the hook point. So when you're fishing a weighted Texas rig, there's like usually 3 different types of weight styles. There's this one right here, which is a regular like nose weight, like bullet weight. There's this one right here, which is more, a little more of a heavier bullet weight. And there's this one right here, which is like a worm weight. So this one's a little pointier than both of these. These have more rounded tips. These ones are pointier. Another thing you can use when you're fishing weighted are these things right here. These are called bobber stops or pegs. And you can put these on your line. And you put your line through these little holes right here. Right there, you put your line through them, and you push this through, and you can keep your weight in a certain area. So when I'm fishing Texas rig, sometimes I'll use scent. So this is one of the styles of scent out there. This is a Spike It Dip in Glow pen. I don't use it very often, but I like the pens because they aren't gonna spill in your backpack and be like the dye itself would. Dye itself. And there's also Liquid Mayhem, which is like the same style, but it's in like a gel package. I have that too. I don't use them very often, but yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different types of soft plastics you can use when fishing a Texas rig. So, the first one, probably the most common one, is Senko. Like I said before, you're just going to, usually most of the time, weightless rig this, which is just like I showed you on these Senkos right here. It's a plain, no weight on it. So you're usually not going to weightless rig this because the way the Senko is designed, it's not like a craw or something or a creature or something where these claws move and move water. You know, it just relies on this falling motion like this, kind of just to flood it down to the bottom to entice the fish. So we have that. We have Senkos. The next one is going to be creature or beaver style. We want to call it. So this right here is a little more movement than a Senko. I got these that move, but the body itself isn't as wiggly because it's stiffer. The next one is those two are probably really popular, and the first that I'm showing you guys are the most popular ways to Texas rig something. So this one right here, craw, it's the same kind of thing. These move water, these all right here move water, these right here move water. And it's a little looser than a creature because it has these ribs in it usually. Like this, that move, and those create like more movement. These craws will move and stuff. So those are probably the most popular. These style of baits are also pretty popular. These are ribbon tail worms. Usually you also want to weighted Texas rig these just because they have this tail on them. And usually when you're fishing these, you are gonna wanna put them like when you're fishing them, you usually wanna like set them down and kind of just hop them off the bottom, because they have this big annoying tail that will annoy the fish. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to rig 2 different types of soft plastics. So here's the hook I'm going to be using to show you guys how to rig them. These are EWG hooks, like I said before, my preferable choice of hook. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to take your Senko and like this. You're going to poke a little bit through, like that much. You want to push it down. The next part's kind of personal preference. So you can usually find this, like, if you can get this to work, this little spot with no ribs in it is usually the strongest spot in them. And I prefer to put my Senkos through, and sometimes I take a few tries to get it straight. It's better to have a straight Senko than not a straight Senko. So I prefer to have my hook point showing through it, so it's like this. Some people prefer to have their hook through an official weedless Texas rig, have their hook hidden inside of it, so when a fish comes, it has to really pop back out. But in my opinion, that just makes your Senko have a shorter life. So now I'm going to show you guys how to rig a creature bait. So this right here is your typical creature bait, craw looking, beaver looking thing. So you're going to do the same thing, nose hook it right there, like this. And you're always going to want to Texas rig most of the time when your line's already tied on to your, rod. Just because then you can push it up farther versus having to push it back down and retie like this. You can push it up over the nose, over the eye. So this is pretty much what this should look like right here. And now I'm going to show you guys how to put a weight on and a bobber stop. Okay, so when you put a nose weight on, what you're going to want to do is you're usually going to want to just put it through this hole in it, the line through that, let it go to the bottom. And now when you use one of these, you're going to have a little hole at the top of it. These are not necessary. So I'm going to put them on the bottom, so I'm going to put them on the top. I'm going to put 2 on, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top. It doesn't really matter. I don't use these very often, but so what you're going to do is you want to take this right here. And you always want to put these on before everything's tied on. I don't need to do this right now because it's just a plain hook with line coming off the end of it that left on. Show you guys this. So yeah, you see that right there? You just want to pull through until you have it stuck on there. I'll leave a link to the favorite hooks, some weights, some bobber stops, some soft plastics in the description. Go check those out, and some scents. Check those out. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.